The persuasion tactics behind our Adderal PSA were pathos, the use of emotion, logos, the use of reasoning, cognitive dissonance, which is the situation that involved the conflicting attitudes at hand, as well as the rational and narrative paradigms. The rational being that one is supported by facts and credibility, and the other based on the experience of a storyline. These were all used in the hopes to persuade students to avoid study performance drugs. Aristotle would think that we use pathos and logos to persuade our audience. Pathos is the persuasion tactic that uses emotion. There was emotional persuasion within the cinematography of the video. The music was a form of artistry to illustrate the use of pathos. The music was sad and paired along strategically with the narrator's melancholic voice. This is to empathize the feelings that should be associated with taking Adderall. The decision to make the video black and white in the beginning was also to avoid feelings of numbness and sadness in hopes to get the audience to empathize, and with using these artistic tactics, pair them subconsciously with the abuse of Adderall. Another important thing to take note of is the shift in mood that takes place when the students begin to seek help. It shifts the mood from hopelessness to hopeful with the same artistic uses as before: color, music, tone of voice, and the person's facial expressions. The use of a storyline is a very persuasive tactic because everyone loves a good story, so it's automatically an attention grabber. In the story of the undergraduate addict, there is a moment of awareness and then also a moment of transformation, which are both components of a compelling story. Logos is the persuasion tactic of reasoning. The video includes statistics. For instance, 90% of students believe Adderall helps with their studying, when in reality it doesn't. It provides credible numbers that exposes the misconception.
Now we're going to be talking about cognitive dissonance. This is a state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and even behavioral decisions or attitude changes. An example of this would be when the girl begins to grab her head in the video, clearly in frustration, feeling overwhelmed as she realizes she has a problem with Adderall and addiction. The video exemplifies this through its eerie music, black and white colors, and both the narration and behaviors of the girl in the video. Her emotions speak vividly to the audience and helps viewers understand the shift of emotions she is feeling as she realizes she has a problem with Adderall. In turn, this causes a conflict in the video, which is later resolved. This brings us to our next topic, which Adam will be covering about narrative consistency, narrative and rational paradigms, and so forth.
Now I'm going to be talking about what rational and narrative paradigms are and how do they serve as a persuasive tool in our video. The rational paradigm illustrates the rational side of humans when it comes to reasoning. Part of us will make decisions based on arguments and facts. For example, we won't buy a bag of candy for 10 when we can buy a bag of candy for 2 with the same quality. The quality of the arguments also helps us to make a decision. We are using our own field of experience to determine the quality of the arguments. For instance, most people won't believe there's 2 suns in the solar system. The narrative paradigm suggests that humans are storytellers, and rationality is based in people's awareness of internal consistency and resemblance to lived experience. Stories become persuasive to us because they are more memorable, more interesting. They invite combination of reasoning and emotion. We are more narrative-based than we are rational-based. In our video, we use both of them to help us be more persuasive. The 3 important elements in a successful narrative paradigms are narrative fidelity, narrative coherence, and narrative consistency. Our video has narrative fidelity because as students, we are indeed familiar with the study drug problems considering the heavy academic pressure on us is getting worse. It also has narrative coherence because the storyline itself is very clear. The story in our video also progresses well, which is the narrative consistency. We have the color scheme changing from black and white and warm colors, indicating the progression of the story. We also have the solution of drinking coffee, going to the therapist instead of taking Adderall to stay focused in the end of the movie.
So in conclusion, the tactics we used touched upon a sentimental appeal and also on reason to attempt to get them to understand the alternatives. So just to reiterate the persuasive tactics: pathos, which is the emotional appeal using artistry of cinema and storytelling; logos through the use of statistics; cognitive dissonance; and lastly through narrative and rational paradigms by using narrative fidelity, coherence, and consistency, as well as decision making. We hope this video persuades students to make good decisions in regards to drug abuse and to also stay educated on the matter. Thank you.